Aloha guys, Maly here from the Big Island of Hawaii. I have a very, very special guest with me today. Her name is Sam Cook. Hey.
Hey.
And she's a teacher here in Hawaii, here on the Big Island of Hawaii. We're going to be talking about many things that pertains to the Hawaii school system here on the islands. We have questions that we have accumulated throughout these months, and we're just going to be basically just sharing, like
Yeah, just talking story.
just talking
Talking
story.
story about school.
So we got one viewer in here. If
All
you want to
right.
tell us your name, we would love to meet you. So Sam, we're going to be sharing this live interview onto the group that we have that is called I'm Moving to the Big Island of Hawaii. So I'm gonna do that in a minute. So if you want to introduce yourself to the audience,
Okay. Hi. I'm Samantha Cook. I've been living here on the Big Island now for going on 9 years. This is my 9th year in the school system.
Yes.
I moved here in September 2012. I came and volunteered with the University of the Nations here in 2011, which kind of introduced me to the Big Island in the first place. I've been here briefly in 2006, but not long enough to really get a taste for it. I visited in 2012 in the spring and was offered a job, and then came back and started my teaching career in September of 2012. I am originally from Montana, born and raised in Montana, and the oldest of 8 children who were all homeschooled. So a lot of times people find it ironic that I work in the public school system after spending K-12 being homeschooled. But I love it. I love what I do. And I never thought I would find myself teaching here in Hawaii, but here I am, and for a while now, which is kind of cool. Been almost a decade at the school that I moved here to teach at. Same school too, which actually is kind of unique. There's a lot of moving around that goes on in the school system here, so
that is so true.
It's been a huge blessing to be at the same school for going on 9 years. So
I thank you so much for sharing that, Sam, because many people that are wanting to make the Big Island of Hawaii their home, they sometimes are interested in the background of the teachers, right? That are going to be basically part-time raising their children,
right?
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
So that is so helpful that you're providing your background to people that are moving here to the island.
Yeah.
So one of the questions, we're going to be moving on to questions that we have gathered throughout these past couple of months. One of the question was from a parent. How do you compare the Hawaii school system to other schools on the mainland?
So it's difficult to compare schools even on the mainland. It depends on where you live. Are you in a big city? Are you in the country? I taught in a one-room schoolhouse in Montana where I had a total of 3 students when it was at its maximum capacity. So comparing that to, say, the schools of Washington State, it runs quite a gamut. Yeah. So I would say that's the same thing here.
Same thing.
If you're on Oahu, for instance, population much larger, you have access to a lot more things than you do here. So some of the schools there are going to be much different than you're going to see here.
Exactly.
So there's quite a diversity. The school system here does use Common Core state standards, which the rest of the country also attempts to do. But even within that, there's always variety between schools depending on what you have available to yourself. I'll say the biggest difference probably is in the structure of the buildings. Like on the mainland, you're pretty much in your brick and mortar. You've got air conditioning or you've got heating systems depending on, and here it's like open air. Like I know that there's a lot of schools on Oahu, and there's some schools here who have air conditioning, but mostly we don't.
Yeah.
We got those slats open on the windows. There's no screens. We got the air coming through, and
little geckos coming in.
So many geckos. The chickens like to wander into the classroom occasionally.
Yeah.
I remember one year we were doing state standardized testing, and you're supposed to be super quiet when you're doing that testing, and there's a chicken just walking right outside the classroom as loud as fuck. And the whole class is just like, you know, like, is it okay that we laugh? Because I know we're supposed to be taking this seriously. So, you know, moments like those.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know how often you find those.
Yeah, that's like very typical.
But that's
Have you
pretty
seen
typical.
like mongooses coming into the building?
Where we are,
Yeah.
we don't have a lot of mongoose.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of mongoose up there. But the chickens, sometimes cats. But
Cats going. Yeah.
sometimes we get a dog coming down from the neighborhood, or you know, those kind of things. But it's mostly chickens and geckos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what a great mix.
Yeah.
Chickens and geckos.
You do have to be more entertaining than them to keep the kids captivated, though.
Right?
So.
Oh my gosh. And even in some restaurants on the island, like if you
Oh,
go, right? Like if you go to Holualoa, like, or Captain Cook,
Yep.
what is this coffee place?
The coffee shack.
Oh my gosh, I love the coffee shack.
So
good.
It's where I take all the visitors every time.
Same.
It's like the only time I go, but they have amazing desserts too, though. I should just drive up there and grab them.
Oh my gosh, I could diet.
But yeah, they stick out the little jelly packs for the geckos, so you can watch the geckos while you're eating breakfast.
Yeah. So sometimes people put like honey or whatever they're having breakfast. You know, they put little honey, and then the geckos, they, you know,
come down,
little tongue. Yeah, so that's so fun. Okay, so we're gonna be moving on to another question that we received. So how can parents adjust to the Hawaii school system? What are some coping mechanisms, you know, even for parents, because it's so new.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like a shock. You're like, whoa,
Right.
you know, I used to do things this way, and now I'm doing things the Hawaii way, right? And so any coping mechanisms or anything that you think that a parent can benefit from?
Yeah, I think Hawaii is very relational. It's a very relational community.
Yeah,
so I'd say whatever community you're looking to plug into, see how you can get plugged in to get those questions answered, and then ask all the questions. Ask all the questions that you have. Like the Kona Moms Facebook group.
Yeah.
Huge source of information. They will tell you exactly what they think about every single school, and not everyone will agree
and more
with everything. But that's a really great, you know, the crowdsourcing of information. That's a really great place to start. I would say check out the backgrounds of the schools, especially the areas that you're looking to move into. What do they provide, and how can you get connected? If they have a parent-teacher organization, how can you get connected with those things? But just ask as many questions as you possibly can. People are happy to answer those questions, especially in the community concerning the schools. Yeah. There's no unabashedness of sharing of information.
And you know what? That is great advice, because sometimes, you know, parents, they don't want to inconvenience, right? Because, you know, they're basically delivering their child to this new school, and they don't want to. But like Sam said, come in with your huge list of questions.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter. They're there to answer, and they are very in tune with the feeling of
well, and it's
that you want to know.
Something I've learned even as a teacher. They're not going to read your minds about what you need. So whatever you know you need, you got to ask the question.
Exactly.
And also sometimes you don't know what questions to ask. So you're not going to be able to prepare for everything. Sometimes it's a trial by fire. I didn't know, there were several things I didn't know to ask. And then later I'm like, oh, I should ask that question. But I didn't know I had the question at the time, I guess. So you just do whatever you can. And then you just kind of take it as it comes and be flexible.
be very flexible.
Yeah.
Tip number 1, flexibility.
Be flexible. Just in life. Just take that tip in life.
Yes.
It's really good. Really good to practice.
Exactly. Yes. In Hawaii, we do learn to be flexible in many situations.
Yes.
Many.
I'll say, like, getting your child to school, be on time. Anywhere else you're going, if you're on time, you're half an hour early. So, like, moving from the mainland, I was the 15 minutes early person, right? If the appointment was at 8, I'm there at 7:45.
Oh,
yeah. Here, I quickly discovered that you're an hour and 15 minutes early. So, like, if you're talking like parties or hanging out or whatever, if you show up on time,
right,
like, most likely whoever it is going to be surprised that you're there already. So.
like, whoa.
Not true for school. We let them on time for school. But
yeah.
in
Now
other
let's talk
areas.
about that. Are they more lenient to let if kids come a little bit late? Is that something that could separate Hawaii from other schools on the mainland?
I don't think so. I think that
They're
actually
very
it's
strict.
still operating that way. That does not mean that everyone shows up on time though. You know?
Yeah.
Like that's it. We talk about culture clashes.
Yeah.
Like that's definitely, that can be a culture clash. I have a student who just shows up whenever they wake up. So
and that and
you know, and
you're
you can't
aware
do anything about it. Like you know that's how they operate. So
and the old seer coming in, rolling in.
Encourage them. Now that is something that's changing because of the distance. Because of
distance learning.
because of the distance learning. We're actually going to start bringing kids back on campus.
Yeah.
Slowly, we're starting to bring them back on, and my students are going to be returning after spring break. However, they're only going to be on campus for 3 hours. So normally it would be like whenever the kid shows up, you just send them up to school. But because we're having to do screening stations and all those things, if they show up after the deadline, we have to turn them away. They can't come to school.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and that's a change. But that's because we're focusing on keeping the campus safe. Yeah. And we just don't have the staff to stand out there all day to man the station. Then if they don't hit that cutoff point, they're going to have to miss school that day because by that time they've lost so much learning time anyway out of the 3 hours that they're going to be back. Yeah. Now that's just my school. Different schools are handling it differently. Based on the amount of staff that they have. And that's another big issue in Hawaii is the ability to attract and retain staff, especially teachers. And that's something that the teachers union here, HSTA, is really working on with the government, with the Department of Education, to try and attract more teachers to the island. But because of the cost of living compared to the salary that you make and all those different things, we have not attracted the teachers that we would like to attract here because a lot of families just can't make it especially if it's a maybe single parent or single income family is a little harder. So there is that aspect of teacher shortage that the state needs to work on in regards to that as well. So
and you know what, and you have been approached by people in our group, right? People that are wanting to become a teacher, or they're already a teacher, but they're wanting to they're looking to come over. And
anytime people ask, I like, if you're retired, you're thinking about moving here, but you used to be a teacher, it is so, you can get your sub license. We always need substitute teachers. It's a great way if you're bored in retirement, or if you just need a little extra cash. It's a great way. We're always looking for good subs. We're always looking for people who are experienced, and we always need them. So I really put a call out to that as well.
Call out. Yeah. Hey.
I had someone ask me the other day, a retired teacher who's been here. And she's like, "Oh, are they looking for?" And I was like, "Always looking for good substitute teachers.
Apply.
Please.
Oh my gosh, that is so awesome. Well, if you're looking for a job here on the islands,
there it is.
Yeah. There's one idea.
Yeah. Or if you're looking for part-time work, you have a part-time job and you have another part-time.
Totally.
So that's one of the reasons that we can't have a longer day is we can't find enough people who are willing to do those part-time pieces, which it's a big ask.
Yeah.
But the students would really, really benefit from it. So anyone who's looking for part-time job at a school too, and again, that can differ from school to school, just depending on the student population and the people who are involved. My school has excellent parent involvement. Always really, really blessed by
That
our
is
parent
true.
teacher organization.
That's true.
Really amazing group of parents. So we're really blessed in that sense.
Very
Not
much
every
so.
school has that. So that's another one of those things that you want to,
Let's touch base
that you
on
want
that,
to,
yeah.
research.
Yeah, and so how can a parent know which school system fits them better? Like what resources are for them? Can they go ahead and research online? Can they call the school and ask for references? Or how can they know that the parents that are involved in that in that school operate at a high level, kind of like yours? Sam happens to be in a really good school,
Yeah.
and it's Holualoa.
Yeah.
It's top rated.
It's over 120 years old. It's been there. It has such a rich history.
Yeah.
Up, in Coffee Land.
Yes.
So it's got
I
all
love
that. It's got
Holualoa.
all that history in it as well.
Yeah.
The staff. So I've been there 9 years, and we've had people come and go. We've had administrators come and go during that time. But I think I shared this with Maly last time too. Like every single person on that campus, from your front office to your custodian to the folks who cook your lunch, to the teachers and administrators and educational assistants, every single one of them love kids. They love working with them.
That's true.
They're all about, like, when we talk about making decisions at school, it's always with the keiki in the center, with the kids in mind. Which is something I really appreciate about our school. And it's also small enough. We're just under 500 kids, pre-K through 5. Small enough that you still feel that unity, and you can know everyone at the school as well. So it is a good school. You can, if you're looking for the information about parent-teacher organization, you can definitely call the school and say, hey, what kind of resources do you have? What kind of supports? Especially, what are you looking for specifically? Do you have a child with special needs? Are you wondering what the program is like to support your child? And you ask what the transition is like, and who's going to be servicing your child, and all those kind of things. What are the demographics of the school? That's something you can search online, but you could also call and ask those questions. What kind of extra resources do they have? So, like, we don't have this is another big change from like some of the bigger schools on the mainland. We don't have a music teacher. We don't have a PE teacher. We don't have a school librarian. We don't have those extra resources that you might be used to. We don't have those pieces this year. Sometimes it changes year to year for budget or who is actually available and trained to do the job. So you want to ask all those questions, like things that you may have taken for granted. Like, don't take them for granted. Ask those questions about what extra resources are there, after school programs or activities, those kinds of things. There are a lot of things going on in the community that, like, we cannot provide as a school, but a lot of different access to things in the community that students could be doing there instead of having them at school. Donkey Mill Art Center, just down the road, is amazing. They run classes for all ages. We've been able to get some grants to bring them into the school. So even though we don't have an art teacher, we're able to get grants to bring artists in to teach our children. I do know that the government's trying to cut the funding right now for the arts, because that's where you trim the fat first, when you're trying to fix the budget. And so I believe they were taking testimony for hearing that this weekend.
Okay.
Yeah. So anybody who's out there who's local, like, call your local representative, because we need those pieces. We need the Donkey Mill Art Center. They are a pillar of our community. So much opportunity, so much, and just a richness of history. One of the gals who helps run the place, her parents are artists in Holualoa. They have their own place that they've had.
The gallery.
For generations. Like, going way back. There's so much history there. And that's something that we really cherish. And we want to bring into our schools as much as possible for that sense of place.
Exactly.
So little tangent, but
Well, those are local news. That's what's happening in our
yep,
community, right? So it's
yeah,
good that the parents are informed
mm-hmm,
that changes are coming,
mm-hmm.
that there's changes in budget, that there's
Oh yeah,
many things. And because of this pandemic that has
yeah,
affected everyone, worldwide,
yeah,
we are by default
yep,
switching and adjusting to new way of doing things.
yep,
Touching now
mm-hmm,
on this pandemic, it hasn't been easy on the
mm,
teachers and the children.
mm-hmm.
What is the one? How do you see the school transitioning towards a more? How is the school managing it at the moment,
Mm-hmm.
and how do you see it positively moving forward
Mm-hmm.
to a more in-person type of communication with the
Yeah.
kids?
Okay. So it's interesting because we have our private schools, we have our
Yeah.
charter schools, and then we have our public schools. So private schools, I think two private schools on the Big Island. I know for sure Makualani has been in person the entire year. They've had students in person. They've taken certain measures, right, to keep those pods or those bubbles separate. So the public schools have been distance up and like full distance up until this point, except for a few really high need students who have been on campus.
Yep.
So now that our numbers, we are following certain metrics. Now that our numbers for 14 days have gotten below 100 cases, that moves us into a new zone where we can start inviting the students back on campus. But right now, according to the agreements to keep the schools safe as we're moving back, we are still maintaining the 6 foot distance piece in the classroom. So a classroom that I could usually hold 25 students in pretty easily, I can only keep 8 in.
Oh, I see.
Because of the distancing. So we're bringing, students are cycling through on different days. So I'll have a group of 8 one day, another group of 8 another day, another group of 8 another day. And then the rest of the time, the rest of my class will be online, still doing their distance work. So we'll all have a meeting together in the morning, the distance and those who are with me. And then I'll focus on the ones that are with me for the next couple of hours and then check in with the others after that. So that's our our new endeavor. And we keep saying, oh, here's a new thing, we'll get used to it. That's just been the theme for the year. Just right when you're like, oh, I'm in a groove, then you're like, all right, so we're gonna do this now. And you're like, yes, okay. Which has been challenging. It's been challenging for everyone. Absolutely everybody involved. The parents, the children, teachers, administrators. Like it's just, it's been a roller coaster. So I would say something positive that's come out of this though. And we were asked this question the other day. Communication has never been stronger between teacher and family. Because I am in 23 different houses every morning, talking not just to the students, but
to the parents,
to the whole family. The whole family. I mean, they got front row seats to the classroom every day. And I have front row seats to the living room and the kitchen and sometimes the bathroom, but it's other stories. And reminder, like it's you see their bedrooms. You see everything.
You're involved.
You see the little brother and sister who are like bouncing on the side or crawling in front because they want to be part of class too. And so that's a really unique element of where you're in constant communication all the time. So communication has never been better. So that's I think that's broken down a lot of walls and maybe some preconceived ideas because sometimes it's intimidating. I think it's intimidating to talk to parents sometimes. Sometimes parents think it's intimidating to talk to teachers. They like feel it's really interesting. They feel like they're failing if their child isn't doing whatever, and so they feel almost like, oh, hey, Miss Cook, like I didn't get blah, 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 and so I think that's helped maybe take away some of that. It's more like we're all community and we're all family. And so a lot of those things have been broken down. And I hope that we're able to carry that even as students are returning and I'm not, seeing your living room all the time. that we're able to kind of carry that understanding into the next years, and that it's just an easier to communicate overall in that sense. So I think that's something that's been really positive that's come out of this.
That's amazing because, like you said, we didn't have it before.
No.
There were some communication barriers, and now you're in the home.
Yep.
People are listening to your class
all the time.
So you better be in
don't make any mistakes. I make them all the time. I have great families. They just mostly laugh at me. So, they're like super gracious.
With
Miss Cook, who's like, oh, I thought I had that ready, guys. Oh, that's not working. Oh, let me find a thing.
With more casual learning too, right? But I can totally understand. Well, if you guys were wanting to have a bird's eye view of what it's like to, be in this situation to where we have now online learning more often, and Sam was able to really, really provide a really good.
That's what it's like.
Yes. Okay, so another question that we have is, what is the most common question that you get from parents that are relocating to Hawaii?
That's a hard question for me as a teacher, because who you will encounter first is our front office. They're like the first line of defense. So that's where you're going to turn in all your forms. That's where that's where they're going to say, hey, you need this, this, and this. Thinking about what might be of most interest, I guess, talking as a teacher. Sometimes I get the question of like, so what standards are you teaching this year? I'm like, thanks for being well informed. Let me check. I switch grade levels like every year. So I'm like, well, we're teaching long division. That was last year. This year, so sometimes I get the parents who are really read up and they're on that kind of thing. Sometimes it's just those questions I had said, like, do you have music class, or I do get a lot of, what is the after school program like, because parents are working and they can't get their children at 2:00 when school's over. And schools here, even not during pandemic time, and much earlier, at least our schools, than ones on the mainland. Like the mainland ones, I was like, oh yeah, 8 to 3 or 8 to 3:30. That's the hours, not here. Nope. It's like 7:45 to 1:45. So kids are out the door by 2:00 usually, which is a pretty big shift, especially if you're working a 9-to-5 job.
Oh yeah.
So you got to find that childcare afterwards. So what are the programs that are available? Before pandemic times, we tried to host different programs that students could get involved in after school. Right now they're thin on the ground. So that's something. So
childcare, it's a must.
Childcare is a real challenge
right now. Yeah,
and it's really a challenge for teachers as well. I have a lot of teacher friends who have children that, now that we're anticipating coming back to school,
they cannot find
what are they gonna do with their kids while they're teaching, and how do they manage that? And honestly, through this whole time, when we're talking about how hard it's been, I think the group that has had the biggest struggle are teachers with children. Teachers with children, because they're trying to be parents, they're trying to teach everybody else's kids, they're trying to help their own kids, and trying to balance. It's all the aspects all together, and trying to balance that has really been a challenge. And I can say the parents that I work with, whose kids, that they're trying to take care of, they do an amazing job of trying to balance it, but their hearts are so much to help their students that they then sometimes feel guilty about the time that they're not spending with their own kids. It's a real hard
struggle.
It's a real struggle, but they so genuinely love all
What
of
they
their
do,
kids
yeah.
that they put 200% out there because
Jesus.
there's no other way. I don't have children, so I can just focus on my students, and I don't have that other piece that I have to hold. So in that sense, it's been a little easier for me in that aspect.
Yeah. But thank you for providing that piece of information in that aspect, so that people can understand that it's just hard all around. It's affecting not only children, being distance learning sometimes, but there's also other struggles that are happening internally with the school and the teachers.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I would say, after we posted, so our school has a Facebook that's dedicated to our school as well. So that's another way to find information. Is see if the school you're interested in has a Facebook
account.
Yeah.
That is a great idea.
Yeah. And then you can ask questions about that specific school. You could just scroll through the history, right? And just see what's come up there and kind of get a feel for it. We recently posted a return to learn plan. And the comments that we got back were a bit, their parents were very frustrated that it's one day and that it's only 3 hours, which I completely understand, because why would you bring your kid back for just 3 hours?
3 hours of learning, yeah.
But what I would say to the parents in the community is, one of the key reasons that we can't bring them back right now for a longer amount of time is we don't have the people that we need to staff to do the sanitization that needs to happen, so that we could have, say, 2 groups cycle through or more days. Like, we're making it work with what we have, and it will be a safe campus, as safe as we can make it, with the staff that we have. But that's what we're working with. And so I guess my ask to those of you who are already at the school, or have students at the school, or who are considering that, we need parent advocates to be, letting the government know that we need to be able to attract more people so that your kids can get the full service that they deserve. We really want to bring them back for longer. We want to bring them back more often. But where we're at right now, that's just where our hands are kind of tied, budget-wise. And this whole year, they've also been seeking to cut teacher pay and to take things that we fought hard for away, because education is one of the government's biggest expenditures. And with being so long without the tourism income, they're trying to find ways, right? Yeah. And which I totally get. I totally understand that. But we already had a teacher deficit, and it's going to get worse if we don't stand up for what we already have and to be able to attract teachers in still. So, and it's not just a teacher thing. It's not just a union thing. It's a community thing. If you want to see your schools flourishing and have enough people, then it's also, your voice matters. So
how can people get involved, or is it only open for residents or open for people that are wanting to make Hawaii their home? Because I do have, there are many clients and people that are looking into, like, say, for example, now that we're talking Holualoa, right? And so how can those people that are not in the school system now get involved and have a say into this matter?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know what the parameters are. I don't know if you have to be a resident. I think you can make any noise, especially social media, like, can be a very strong tool in that sense. But I would say ask your school community council, even if you're not at the school yet, get in touch with someone at the school community council. Each school has their own, and it's made up of all aspects of staff plus community partners plus parents. I know that we have a very informed parent on our school community council who would probably have all of those answers.
Yeah. So perhaps reach the school on how to.
I would say reach out to the school, school community council, and parent teacher organization. They would have the people. They would know whether or not you have to be a resident.
Yeah.
And they would know who to contact for our state representatives.
Okay.
Yeah. Oof. Yeah. I know, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Oh my goodness.
I just got all
I
this
so I
information
know you have
downloaded
so
like this
much.
last week, so
You're like, yes. But you know what? Hopefully, if anybody's watching that is interested in learning more about how to get involved, at least we have some understanding that we could go to the school, talk to, one of the admins or somebody
yeah,
handling
the front
the
office
front
clerk is,
office.
yep,
Yeah,
the
and then
gatekeepers.
gatekeepers
Yeah.
and just try to get more information that way.
Yeah.
So then, let me see. Let's talk about special ed.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, what are the things that parents need to know if they have a kid or children with special needs? What are some tools or what are some resources that are available for them, and what are the things that they need to be aware of when looking for schools here in the state?
I'd say that you can ask all the kind of questions that we talked about before, like checking out your school through the community and all
Yeah.
those different things.
Yeah.
Again, the direct line, calling the school and saying, "Hey, I have a child with special needs," and it depends on whether it's a physical disability, because then you have the ADA issue of
Yeah.
how can I navigate the campus. So our campus physically is on the mountain, so
Yes.
everything is
Going uphill.
uphill.
That's true.
There is a field that's level.
Yeah, and that's it.
And that's pretty much it. Everything's uphill, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of ramps.
Yeah.
So you want to check into those pieces if there is a physical limitation.
Yeah.
You want to check on those things. Anything that is special ed or IDEA related, that falls under federal mandate. It's federal law. So we have to be compliant and measure up just like any school on the mainland because it is a federal situation. So depending on that child's needs, then you might ask specific questions, and you know your children the best. You know what they need or what they've needed in the past. So you would want to maybe even schedule a meeting with the person who's in charge of that department at the school and have a sit down conversation with them, or over the phone or whatever, and just say, hey, I'm thinking about this. My child struggles specifically with this. Their strengths are in this. How do you think we would be a fit for the school? That is, if you have a choice where you end up, right?
Exactly.
If you don't, then you just got to figure the school out.
Figure it out. Exactly.
Communication is key. I can say that here in the state, there's a special, especially if you're looking to be a teacher, there's an extra differential in pay for special education teachers. So, which has really attracted a lot more applicants to special education. So you make significantly thousands more dollars if you're teaching in a special education class than in a regular gen ed class. And that's one of the things that have been able to attract more people to the island. They're looking at cutting that differential. So that's another one of those pieces. But I would say we're federally mandated just like anyone on the mainland. Biggest thing is talk to your previous school about the files being sent to the school that you know you're going to. Once you've decided you're enrolling your child, they need to have those files in order to bring them over, and see if you can get a copy for yourself as a parent. Like, make sure you have a copy for yourself. Sometimes,
just in case.
Sometimes a lot of things just don't make it to their final destination. So you want to make sure that you have some extra copies.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And that you really know before you leave the school that your child's in. I would sit down with their teacher and say, hey, if you don't remember, sometimes there's, you have your yearly meetings and you're like, yeah, looks good, yep, good, they're getting extra help. But really make sure you know what's being provided, and if your child is old enough, also ask them those questions of what they've been experiencing and what they need, and then you'll come already knowing what you need, and you'll be able to communicate that to the school.
That beautifully said, Sam, because a lot of people that do have children with special needs,
Mm-hmm.
they don't sometimes know where to start.
Right.
They don't know who to ask, and I think that you provided a really nice guide for people to just direct their questions to the people
Mm-hmm.
that are in like front desk, right?
Right.
Or
Yeah.
like you said, it's like the first line of
Yep.
defense. They're
Mm-hmm.
the ones providing the info, but
Yep.
in making sure that the paperwork gets there,
That's pretty key.
that's
Yeah.
key.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
that's true.
For sure. And something I know that I mentioned last time that I haven't talked about yet, but when you're looking at moving, this is a decision that affects your whole family. It affects your children. So not only are you looking for specific things, but they're looking for specific
Yeah.
things too.
Mm-hmm.
And so having a sit down conversation with your children about this move, asking them,
Yes,
what are you
involving
hoping
them.
for?
That is
What,
so true.
like I have this picture of what it's going to be like when we go to Hawaii, but what do you think is going to happen when we go there? Like, what is your understanding?
Mm-hmm.
And kind of being able to dialogue with your children, and once you're here, have those same kind of conversations. Is it the way you're expecting it? What's great? What's difficult? What can we do more
Mm-hmm.
of? And there's so many ways to get involved with. For students, especially this year, the social aspect is the key thing.
Oh yeah.
Right? I don't know too many students who are like, gosh, I hope they have a great math teacher. But I'm in elementary.
She's
Education,
elementary.
so maybe at the
What
high
grade are
school
you
level,
on? What
grade 5 this year.
5?
Yeah,
Yeah.
grade 5 this
You
year.
were doing
I was doing fourth last
4th,
year,
yeah.
which is really great because I was able to follow quite a few of my kids
Yeah.
from the beginning of the
4th.
pandemic
Oh.
into this. So I already had relationship built with families, really helped with the transition.
Good.
I made sure, actually, because of that all of my students who are on my caseload with special needs, I made sure they stayed in my classroom as we carried over, because they don't need that much change.
Yeah.
If there's anything that you can keep stable and fluid and continuous, that's what you want to do. And I also love them. They're just so great.
Oh.
And they change so much every year. It's crazy. 4th grade to 5th grade. It's just insane how much.
But that is so great that you're taking that into consideration too, to not
yeah. And I would say that's indicative of our school. It's not
Yeah.
just me. Like the teachers there, we've all been helping out, and it doesn't matter what grade level we're on or the team that we're on.
Yeah.
Even just the last couple of weeks, I was having a conversation about, again, we needed to meet for a referral for student.
Mm-hmm.
She's in grade 5 now. And nobody in grade 5 could meet for various reasons for her. But her previous teacher from 4th grade, who already knew her, was like, sure, I can make the meeting. I know who she is. I know what she needs. Like those things. So we are able to support.
Tag team too.
Yeah, so that the students get the supports that they need, which is
so beautiful.
Which is really, I love it. I love the people I work with.
Oh.
So it's pretty great.
And it shows because, not only you're part of a great school system, but, like you said, there's so many moving parts. There's the parent involvement, the kids that are very in tune with the teachers, and, then the parents that are helping them through this whole process. I think you're in a great
I'm in a great
school and great community.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'll tell you, this is the first year that students have said, I wish I could go to school.
Oh,
because it's the social aspect,
They're missing it.
And I had a student at the beginning of the year. He's like, I hate school. I just want to play Fortnite. And then 2 months ago, I was like, are you still feeling the same way about school? And he's like, no, I like it now.
It's like, damn.
And so they're ready. They're ready to come back. They're ready for things to be.
But you also make it so fun.
Normal. Oh gosh, I try.
You do. She's very, very fun.
I got a couple kids who think my version of fun is not fun at all.
Hey,
but
a little commercial.
It's all right.
Sam is very active on social media. If you guys do have a chance to check her out, if you want to drop your IG where people can find you.
Yeah. It's at Samwise Essentials. Samwise Essentials. Both words share that E at the end. Samwise Essentials. They share an E.
Yes.
Uh,
So you're going to find very entertainment content, very, very, very fun.
you know, in my other life, I like to act a little.
Yes.
So little drama.
Yeah, yeah. So you guys can connect with Sam that way as well.
Yeah.
We are going to, I think we touch bases the quarantine. I think if you have any final thoughts for people that are watching this stream, and if you want to share any passion projects that you're currently involved with
Sure.
that the community could benefit from,
Mm-hmm.
that will be cool as well.
Final thoughts. Cue the emotional music. No. Yeah, I'd say just keep those lines of communication open.
Yep.
Community, the really beautiful and unique thing about Hawaii is the community. It's the friends.
Yes.
You know, the friend groups. Find yourself a group of walking moms who go walking together and hold each other up and support each other.
I haven't been walking in so long.
You know,
but
it's okay.
I
We
have
still
to.
got
I have
friends.
We used to. I mean, this is very like we're going sidetracked on what we're talking about, but we used to go to Walua Trail a ton.
Yep.
a ton.
But the touch point time,
yeah,
you know, where you talk about things and you hash things out, also while you're getting exercise.
right.
So find your community, find your people. It takes a little time. Don't give up. I do think it takes less time here than when you're talking about warm climate culture and cold versus cold climate culture. It's a lot easier, I think, to make those friendships and connections here. Keep those lines of communication open between you and your children, the expectations, those things, and yeah, find ways to get plugged into the community right away. That's the fastest.
That's the key.
Yeah,
that's key.
Yeah, find something you love to do. Go learn how to surf. Stay out of everybody's way who's usually surfing. Find the spots that are okay for you to be in when you're first learning. I don't surf, so I don't really know what I'm talking about, but I know you don't want to get in some people's ways.
Oh, yeah. They're very, locals here, they're very protective of their waves, so we just got to respect.
And that's the other thing, like honor the culture. Honor the culture.
Yeah.
Do what you can to learn about the culture, but don't like try to fit in by faking the culture either. Like be who you are, but also learn how to honor it, I think. And you'll find it a real easy transition. It's a beautiful place that you have so much to learn from the people here. There's so much to learn. Passion projects. Just this morning, I got invited.
Please share this. This is amazing.
So exciting. So I got invited to play a little part in a film that's being created by a group of people I know here called Innovision Studios. And they actually finished a documentary. So they're working on a documentary. They finished a documentary and published it at a Hawaiian cultural festival here last year on Henry Upa. I'm going to say his name correct. I practiced it earlier. Opukahia. Henry Obukaya is what he was called for short when no one could pronounce his name, but Opukahia. And they did a documentary on the history of his life. Really well done. And it was fascinating because I'd never heard of him before. And so they did this documentary. So the same group is now doing a documentary on Chiefess Kapiolani. And basically she's well known for some things, but the thing that she's most well known for is going into the volcano. She converted to Christianity, her and her husband, and they had established a church here. And then she was challenged and went into the volcano basically to defy Pele, which was a huge thing. And she ate like the ohelo berries that are only supposed to be eaten by Pele, and like all these things. So they are doing a documentary about her. They're filming that right now and putting that together.
Incredible.
And they messaged me earlier this week and were like, "Hey, Sam, we need someone to come be a missionary." Yeah. So do you want to just come be on the set and do a little acting? And I was like, "Oh yeah," because with everything been shut down, I'm usually on the stage. There is a local theater down south, and which is all, stage live theater, which I've been in one show there. But since everything has shut down, you haven't been able to do that. So any opportunity to like jump out there is, and it was so fun.
Oh my
it was
gosh,
so fun, and I got to learn a little bit of the Hawaiian language and use it this morning, which I love. I love learning that. And you can learn it on Duolingo now. It's Hawaiian language is available on the Duolingo app.
I didn't know.
So you can learn the Hawaiian language.
You can brush up your Hawaiian. Nice.
So that you don't pronounce Palani Road, the incorrect Palani, or
Palani.
That's not how you pronounce
it's Palani.
It's Palani. So work on those pronunciations.
Yeah.
So that's a fun thing that I got to be part of.
Or Anke.
Anke. Aneke
no,
hokolole. I had to like 50 times in my head. Aneke hokolole.
That one is so hard.
It is hard. But
it is so hard.
You can master it. And then other passion projects, when everything shut down over the pandemic, you're stuck at home and you're like, what am I going to do? So I actually started selling Young Living essential oils also. So, and to make ends meet, sometimes you got to work 2 jobs. So I'm also doing that. You'll find that on my Instagram if you want to follow me. Really been trying to rework that. It's not just oils, it's also supplements too. So trying to keep that health bolstered, and focus on things that I had time to focus on that usually, life is going so fast. Yeah. So I've been doing that as well, hanging out with my Hanai nephew and their family as much as possible. And my Hanai niece, she's 3 months old now. So they're so cute. Just doing those kind of things, quilting on the side, and
I love it. Well, for anybody that is into essential oils or wanting to have like a Hawaii connection that has those products on hand, this girl, she's got you.
Yeah. And then I also got sucked down the hole of reels in the whole lip syncing reels on Instagram thing. Which has also been an outlet for acting.
Oh, so girl,
if you want to be entertained or find it entertaining. I just put a new one up for Valentine's Day. I thought it was pretty funny. So
I'm going to turn it up and I'm going to provide our viewers a very... I don't know if you guys can hear it. Can you hear it? Let's see. And we say goodbye. We say aloha.
Aloha for joining us today.
Oh, guys, thank you. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for sticking around. Hoping that you guys got. Hold on, let me turn this down. I cannot even think.
Some fun drums. Some fun percussion there.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sticking around. Sam, thank you for coming and sharing all your knowledge to the audience that is trying to make Hawaii their home, and for even local families that are watching this live. Hopefully you were, hopefully we provided service to you guys.
Yeah, and if there are any questions.
And if there's any questions, always drop them on the comments, and we will be more than happy to do another one.
Yeah.
Well, I thank you so much, guys. And for now, we say aloha. And we are going to end the live stream in a minute.
Just a wave. Just going to sit here and wave. Try all my different waves.
I was trying to find the button. Aloha.